It's time for the September 2025 Golden Gate Estates Market Update. This channel focuses on everything to do with living in Southwest Florida. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, or you just have real estate questions, call or text me at 239-450-5786. And if you'd like to schedule a free, no obligation, informational Zoom call, click the link below. September has a lot of meaning for my family. And no, it's not just because the Philadelphia Eagles are back into play. Playoff baseball's approaching. Pumpkin spice is in the coffee shops. None of those apply. September means that my family has been in Southwest Florida now for 12 years and 11 years here in the Golden Gate Estates. We love it here. We call it home, and it's going to be home for as long as we have a say. So I take this particular market update very seriously because it impacts not only my business and helping my buyers and sellers, but it also impacts my home and where we love to call home. So as we begin to look at the September 2025 Golden Gate Estates market update, where we take a look at the results for August of 2025, just a quick reminder that all the information that I give you is my opinion, and the numbers are taken directly out of the Southwest Florida MLS system. I try to give you as simple a look at the numbers so that you can make the best decisions for you and your family, whether it's time to buy or sell here in the Golden Gate Estates. So let's begin. Before we get into the numbers, just a quick reminder, there's no filtering of numbers here. I'm giving you the raw data. If I filter a number, I let you know. And this month, I'm going to compare the Golden Gate Estates results to the overall Naples market so that you can see whether Golden Gate Estates performed great or whether it was a bad month. So let's begin with the closed pricing. Median price, $634,075. That's up 5.8% year over year, and performed very well over the overall Naples market. Now, again, Golden Gate Estates, I say this month after month, is a unique market. We have $450,000 homes, and we go all the way up into the multi-millions. So that median price and the average price does go up and down depending on what sells for the month. But in general, if you look at this graph here, this is the entire data that I can pull all the way back to 2012. You can see that after the price increase of the post-COVID and 2% and 3% mortgage rates, craziness, our pricing has held very consistently in that same range, kind of bouncing between 500 and 600,000. Again, it fluctuates by what's sold. So we see here that the Golden Gate Estates is very consistent, as is the overall Naples market as well. We're not seeing, the big crash that everybody is talking about. It's just, again, it really is just sellers reducing price to find the buyers that are willing to buy their house at this particular time. So again, closed median price $634,000. The average price $706,810. That's up 2% year over year. But again, here's where you see the overall Naples market has the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus $1 million homes. So one of those sells, it's going to drastically inflate the average number, because remember, median's that middlemost number. Average is all the sales together divided by the number of closings. You get the average. So obviously, the Naples overall market is going to have a much bigger average number just because of the luxury housing here in the community. New listings. We saw 114 new listings hit the market in August. That's up 10% over, almost 11% over August of 2024. But again, so very, very consistent number. Total homes for sale, 415 homes. That's up 13% over last year this time, and considerably up over 2023 as we were building back the inventory, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And you see how it compares to the overall Naples market. And here you see the graph again, looking at the entire picture. We're kind of back to where the normal market is for the Golden Gate Estates. And really, when you think about the amount of new homes that have been built over the last 4 or 5 years, we actually are kind of under the amount of homes that are on the market are actually below the level of where we were before COVID. And obviously that's because the sellers don't really have anywhere to go, which is why they're not necessarily putting their homes on the market. But that's a different conversation in itself. Months of supply, we see that 7 months of inventory here in the Golden Gate Estates, 7.6 overall in the Naples market. But let's drill this down. So all price categories, again, 7%, that's up 12.9% year over year, and we know why that is. In the price categories, so if you're looking for a home to buy or you have a house to sell in the 550,000 and less market, there are not a lot of homes in that for the amount of buyers. So there's 3.3 months worth of inventory or supply. So that means basically if no new homes came on the market in that price point, we're out of homes in about 3.5 months. And 550 to 750, we've got 7 months. And then when you jump from 750 to a million, 16.4 months worth of inventory. And if I added in, above the million, it goes even higher. But again, that's a very specific luxury buyer. Of course, there's going to be less buyers. But looking at this, if you have a home or if you're thinking about buying a home in this, 550 and less, the 1.14 acre properties, now's the time to get a jump on the market. Today as I'm filming this, the FHA rates, there have been some reports of some lenders offering high fives on a FHA loan, and that totally would fit into these properties here. So if you're thinking about buying in that price range, now's the time to jump before all the pent up demand starts hitting. And there's talks about the Fed reducing rates. Now, of course, again, all of you that understand it, it's not a direct connection, but it does impact the lender's ability to adjust and to lower interest rates to try to fire up the market. Economy's getting stronger by the day. So there's a lot of sentiment, a lot of, my phone's been ringing like crazy recently, and I'm very thankful for that, and a lot of interest in the Golden Gate Estates. So again, 7 months of inventory is just barely a buyer's market. 550,000 and less really is a seller's market, but there's not enough activity to really make it a seller's market in that price point. So it still is a very neutral to a leaning toward a buyer's market because the sellers are trying to attract and make deals to get their homes sold. Pending sales, we saw 64 homes go under contract, very consistent over years, but it's down 3%. And people are, again, we've seen this trend, but I think really that there is now an element of, okay, well, interest rates are dropping. What do we do? I'm not too worried because, again, like I said, over the last 45 days, my phone has been ringing quite a bit, and I appreciate it, and I'm thankful for that. And people calling and say, hey, I'm thinking about Golden Gate Estates, or I'm thinking about Ave Maria, or thinking about Naples or Fort Myers, thinking about 2026. So a few of those buyers are starting to say, hey, I'm seeing and I'm listening. Maybe I need to jump ahead, and they're actually scheduling their trips earlier to come down. So, 64 is much better than it was last month. And when we look at total closings, we saw 56. Again, that's down a little bit, but not crazy down. And again, we knew that this number was going to be a lower number because of the fact that June and July were low pending sales. And that's the summer vacation time, so it's not unexpected. But again, we anticipate, and what I suspect, or when we look at next month's market update, we're going to see it trending up. And that's good news. So median percent of last list price. So basically what this means is that in the closings of August, the sellers got 96.1% of the current list price to offer. So the buyers are basically looking for about a 4% price reduction. Median, so that's the middle number. There were bigger discounts and there were smaller ones, right? But this is not over original list price. This is where it was currently. So if a home was listed at 600,000, but it was really worth 550, and they kept reducing it down, and they listed it, now we're at 560, and the buyers came in and made an offer at 540. That's where this percentage comes in. Okay, so percentage of last list price. Again, it's definitely down. Not many buyers, so sellers are negotiating and working on deals to make deals work. And this is why it's a perfect time for a buyer to jump into this market, because we do see, look at the overall Naples market, 94.5%. So you see that Golden Gate Estates is holding its value just a little bit better. Again, it's more, there's less inventory, so there's less buying power, but still good negotiations going on. Days on the market, median 44. That's up 22% over 2024. But again, that's a good number. That's really a typical number. Look at median here. Again, this was the craziness of post-COVID, but we see here this is really where we expect the Golden Gate Estates to be. Sure, our home's sitting a little longer right now, particularly the new construction. There's a lot of new construction on the market. They're putting them on the market very early in the build process, so the days on the market tends to tick up on new construction, which is going to impact these numbers as well. The average 75. Still, that's not a bad number. 75 days to get your home sold. But I just had a listing. Now it was in a HOA community, but it went under contract in 6 days. So it was priced right, marketed right, and the buyers jumped. So again, homes are selling every single day here in Golden Gate Estates and all of Southwest Florida. The decision really is now the right time for you to sell your home? And that's where my Sell It Stress Free system comes in. Visit sellitstressfree.com or scan the code on the screen, and I'll walk you through how to prepare your home and just have a conversation about whether this is the right time for you to sell. Just recently had a conversation with a couple that I advised them to hold on to the house. They didn't have to sell yet. So I said, look, just hold on to the house for maybe 6 more months. Let's see what the market does. You want to capitalize. You bought, kind of at the high point of the market where the house is located. Let's just hold a little bit. I mean, unless you tell me, Dan, I need to get the house sold today, I want you to get as much as possible. And that's part of preparing. And that's where my Sell It Stress Free system begins and carries you all the way to closing day. Now, of course, if you are thinking about buying a home in the Golden Gate Estates or really anywhere in Southwest Florida, call or text me today at 239-450-5786 or click the link below to schedule that Zoom call. And let's have a conversation about when's the right time, what's the right type of house, property, HOA, no HOA, Golden Gate Estates, Ave Maria, Marco Island, Cape Coral. Where do you want to be? What fits your lifestyle? For me and my family, we love it in the Golden Gate Estates. I love, having some land where, the possibilities are endless. Fruit trees, vegetables, chickens, whatever you want to do in the Golden Gate Estates, it's possible. Obviously within the zoning codes, of course. So, don't comment on that. But, the reality is the Golden Gate Estates offers a lot of opportunity with no HOAs and affordability because of that. And, with the FHA rates that they offer here in Collier County, you can buy a really nice property here in the Golden Gate Estates with FHA with only 3.5% down. So call or text me today at 239-450-5786. And if you found this video helpful, like it, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to be notified so that you are notified about when I release all my videos, not just these market updates. But if you found it helpful, I'm so thankful that you stuck with me, and I appreciate you watching each and every month. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.